It's my forgotten classic number 6. It's the documentary from 2006, The King of Kong, about two guys trying to set the world video game record for the number of points scored in the arcade game Donkey Kong. Let's take a look at why this movie is still interesting, intriguing, and probably always going to be great coming up next. This documentary by Seth Gordon features two guys, Billy Mitchell, the old Donkey Kong world record holder, and a newcomer, a sort of suburban dad and middle-aged dad, Steve Wiebe. Both are competing in this movie at this point in time in the early 2000s for the Donkey Kong world record. Now, when I watched this movie back in, say, 2007 or so, I thought this was entirely ridiculous, that everybody in this movie is vying for a video game world record. What's the point? Get a job. This isn't real competition, I thought. I had never heard at that point of speedrunning, video game playing as a profession. But of course now, in 2020, it's everywhere. Just go on YouTube, and people are doing the kinds of things in this movie, going for world records. It's a big deal. You get your name in headlines. You get your name on Wikipedia, and you become a superstar. You make a big money off of video game playing professionally and speedrunning. So these guys may be pioneers in this movie, and by this point, 2020, I see this movie a little bit differently now. And yet still I have this old idea. I think the movie does bring this up. Why are these guys doing what they're doing? What does it do for them? And the movie really explores why these men in particular, why would these guys care about what almost nobody in the world would care about? Why is it such a big deal to them? So let's go into the details. In the movie, you have Billy Mitchell, who is so sleazy he couldn't play a sleazy lawyer character on TV. He'd be too sleazy for the role, is the Donkey Kong world video game holder. And he's got a lot of people who love him. He sort of cast a spell over a bunch of these guys who are vying for various records, including the referees at the time who are responsible for okaying or, denying people video game records because of cheating and whatnot. Billy Mitchell is a referee himself of the game that he holds a world record for, so it's a little shady how they were running the world video game records back in those days. And then along comes this guy from suburban Washington, Steve Wiebe. He's got a wife, he's got two little kids, and the movie sort of paints him as a failure for most of his life, as a pitcher, as a musician. He got laid off right when he bought a house. He's just an ordinary dude, and he wants some credibility, and he wants some success in his life. So what does he do? The movie says because he's so OCD, he takes up Donkey Kong, and he's able to do really well at it. But the official video game people, including Twin Galaxies, the referees for world video game records, Billy Mitchell, all the people surrounding him, they distrust Steve Wiebe when Steve Wiebe sets the Donkey Kong record. They go to his house, they investigate his game board, they say his game board has been tinkered with, they nullify his record. So Steve Wiebe, to his great expense, goes out to a video game arcade to meet all these people, to play Donkey Kong in front of them, and he tries really hard to make these guys understand him, to befriend them, and to have them okay him or validate him as a video game player. The movie is about war, really. It's about competition and gaming, why people game. People game not for money, not for acclaim, in fact, for nothing but prestige within a group of, say, 2 to 5 to 10 to 15 people. And this movie shows you video gaming at the time not lucrative. You don't get women, you don't get fame, you don't get really anything from it. So why would you care? And the movie says we're all at our heart sort of at war with each other, competing with each other to be the best in a hierarchy. That's in fact what Billy Mitchell announces at the very beginning of the movie.
The top French pilot in World War I shot down 24 enemy planes. The top American pilot, you don't know his name, do you? Nobody does, but it's Eddie Rickenbacker. Shot down 26 enemy planes. The German ace, the Red Baron, everyone knows who the Red Baron is. That's because he shot down 87 enemy planes.
So Billy Mitchell is very sleazy. On the one hand, he demands that Steve Wiebe play the Donkey Kong game live in front of other people to validate himself. On the other hand, Billy Mitchell turns in videotapes of himself, which he declaims at one point in time. And he's very sleazy throughout the entire movie, and it's his fault entirely. I think this movie, you couldn't edit this movie in any way to make him look good. He's not a good competitor. He's sort of a cheat even, perhaps.
He's a very devious person. He works things out to his end very well.
And that's over and against the clean-cut Steve Wiebe, whose wife, the poor wife, she just wants him to help out and be an ordinary dad. His kids are telling him, hey, you can ruin your life over playing video games too much, and yet he's striving for something to be successful at. The movie shows, I think, beyond just the basic nature of competition and our desire to dominate, even though we get nothing out of dominating, that as well, referee systems or fairness systems always are rigged because they depend on humans and human relationships. In the movie, of course, the referees, the officials for Twin Galaxies trust Billy Mitchell too much. They don't trust an outsider, Steve Wiebe, at all. In fact, they're so distrustful that they continually, over a period of months, I think maybe years, mispronounce his name. It's a running joke in the movie, but to keep him an outsider, I think, they keep mispronouncing his name, not getting it right, and sort of demeaning him.
Steve Wiebe feels fine to me, doesn't he to you?
Steve Wiebe. Could you come up here?
Hey, Walter, say that again. It's Steve Wiebe.
Is it Steve Wiebe?
Yeah, Wiebe. That's okay.
For some reason, I keep thinking it's Wiebe, sorry.
And so you see over the course of this movie the shifting standards of the rule keepers, this big question of who watches the watchers, and Billy Mitchell sort of having this all-controlling vision. He gives off some kind of vibe that hypnotizes these guys, and they're all sycophants. They all are servile. The one guy who continually is on the phone giving him updates is really pathetic, even though he's retired at age 30. He's probably made a ton of money to compete at video games. He can go do whatever he wants. He is a servile sycophant to Billy Mitchell, and it's kind of sad. I think this movie is wonderfully edited. There are hundreds of pieces of video here spliced together. The movie makers interviewed these people multiple times of the series of, I don't know how long, several months to get this. And as well, things are happening in real time as the movie is being made. So, things are under development. I don't think the movie makers knew where this story was going even until, the ending happens of this movie. So this is a great movie, and I don't know where the director went. Seth Gordon, I see on IMDb he directed several things, episodes of TV shows, but why doesn't Netflix give him carte blanche to do a couple documentaries? I mean, these kinds of documentaries now, like The King of Kong, are in vogue. They're all over the place. I think he could do this really well as a human interest story, so give this guy a shot, Netflix. Finally, to me, as a reader of Machiavelli and the Bible and the Greeks and the Romans and on, I think this movie has some very basic political, social, and philosophical ideas about humans, that we're all interested in jealousies and rivalries to a certain extent, that we all want to dominate somebody else, even if that domination gets us nothing besides the fact that we can say we're better than somebody else. And that we want to rig rule systems to our favor so that we can dominate. And we want to influence those who make the rules so we can dominate. This movie brings all of that up. And then the struggle of Steve Wiebe to get validation from anybody that's part of his identity. It's a really sad thing, I think. And I wish him the best of success. I hope he does well. And the movie sort of shows that. I think the movie may lean too much on him as a hero figure, but him becoming a science teacher is really interesting, so I hope he's doing well in life now. And as I said, because video gaming is so wildly popular worldwide, speedrunning's a thing, video game records are a thing, this movie still holds up, and these guys were forefathers or forerunners of the present-day phenomenon that's making lots and lots of people very wealthy. What do you think of The King of Kong? Have you seen it? Let us know in the comments. Please subscribe to this channel for more great movie content. Thank you and have a great day.